I thought my catharsis was death, slowly falling into a hole of darkness, rotting against soil that would bring life again. I found catharsis in killing who I was at the time to become someone new, painting a picture of rebirth within myself, and taking out the pages instead of within my skin. My bones burned and cracked against its weight, but were forged into new bone, into new blood, a blood-soaked codex that would not allow myself or anything to fail otherwise. Looking beyond an inevitable demise and seeing the true light shine forward, the path before me, I found catharsis through all of the chaos within myself. I created a new image of someone who was fulfilled and someone that knew it and owned it without an apology to any being otherwise in all creation. And welcome back, everyone. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon, back again on another segment, fresh on the platform. We're now in 2024, Year of the Dragon. And in terms of everything that has led up to this moment, to the progression and everything that has been revealed, in this segment I'm going to touch upon a crux when it comes to a certain paradox that everyone needs to grab a hold of, this year especially. And as to the title of this particular segment, Chaos versus Catharsis, the thin red line. Now, to jump into things right away, let's get into the definition of what chaos actually is. The definition of chaos quite literally means complete disorder and confusion. Chaos is the void, an abyss, manifested well after creation existed of what is and always was and always will be. But from the confused, the formless babblings that lock everything down into a less than elementary state, this in light of the secrets of the void being touched upon recently, cuts us off from nature and the universe, let alone ourselves and one another. Here is where I'm going to take things even deeper and bring forward its antithesis in terms of catharsis, and why this must be embraced if we are to override, seal it off, and access the bridge gate gridworks of consciousness that are well beyond the void of chaos. Again, chaos literally means complete disorder and confusion. And when it comes to the founding figures of chaos magic, as far as I'm concerned, they declare a massive overreach that certain occult traditions have become too rigid when it comes to fundamentals and principles. And in terms with our mystery school, there is a tradition and a code and a banner that we flag and fly in terms of fundamentals and principles based upon the universal laws of metaphysics and the eternal axioms. This is what we adhere to. At the same time, in hindsight, we are opposed to the rigid binding and restraining and holding back of religious and alleged spiritual ideologies in terms of organized occultism, dark occultism. Mind you, we are nothing to do with either the right wing or the left wing systems in context to the occult. Those, in fact, are the chains of chaos we are here to break when it comes to teaching on ground level, let alone anything advanced to the foundation of our fundamentals and principles and the code it's required. There is a standard, and we are standard bearers. There is a structure that even to a certain point requires an oath be taken in terms of actual rites of initiation. It is a standard and a code and structure that you're not going to get anywhere else on the level. It is to say that there is a bigger picture unfolding still, and that certain things have been templated otherwise that reach far beyond these indiscretions with all of us that have been doing the work in order to anchor the higher here in this realm. And to that, there are many great things that I still see happening with those that are actually doing real shit in this world and getting the results to it. Alas, though, when I listen to individuals speak, I can gauge exactly where they are in terms of gridworks of consciousness. And in hindsight and reflection to 2023, this entire last year has been a major trial, let alone the previous two since 2020. Many continue to be pulled into the distractions, not recognizing how chaos is being wielded against us. On a collective level, chaos magic is off the goddamn fucking charts, and it's worse than what it's ever been since its inception. You really need to ask yourselves, why has this happened? Why has the poisoned blade to needle and in turn slammed forward with what manifested on top of everything else, especially this last year? I've achieved personal victories, and standing my ground I also overcame. I am extremely good, you guys, and focused and kicking life's ass like I always say, as I hope that anyone listening to this right now is also experiencing. On top of it, there were massive amounts of chaos magic unleashed into the reality field in 2023. Many gave me reports of their experience to the wave collapse taking place with those who were not doing the real work. To destroy the progression rate, which has set itself against mankind. Getting nailed was second guessing what we do know, and on and on and on it went again and again. These things obviously do not come from our souls. These things do not come from a place of true intelligence. It continues to make me sorrow for wisdom, to clarity otherwise, the willful levels of rejection to the actual truth, and clearly see the walls being hit from the other side of their equations. And that is the wall of indifference that one can suffer, knowing things on the level and not being able to share or pour out on that level, consistent with the fundamentals and principles that even masters go over daily. When it comes to actual chaos, my experience with it at its most potent encounter was beyond what I can fully put into words. I've never gotten to what I actually experienced when it comes to my shamanic initiation, but in this segment, I'm going to explain some of what I actually experienced. And before the process of actual initiation began to really take me into my early adulthood, I was already in practice in terms of the arts. As I've said before, these things were something that I was organically drawn to as a child. And through my youth, and even now at the present moment, the mystery continues to compel me forward. What is this life? What is all of this about? Why are things the way that they are? And why does it seem that most do not give a flying fuck to question or inquire about these things? More questions stirred within my heart as the wonderment kept reaching for me as it expressed, and I felt my remembering many times hit the contrast and illusion of this reality, telling me and showing me otherwise. And as I ran through the forest with my peers, flying through the trees with our bikes, as the time itself was able to be bent and forged at our fingertips, seeing how the lights would break through the branches of the densest parts of the forest, I stood in awe in that wood, and all of its paths that would converge to a single point. It is where I felt the most strength and solitude, away from the unforgiving grasp of the world and its machine that wanted to forge me into a piston with which I was constantly refusing to become. I figured very early that it's not conducive to be in fear of the darkness and the unknown, but to embrace them. And by going into them, even if fear was gripping me, we always came out the other side with courage and boldness and into new parts of the forest to be explored. New paths were forged, and I unconsciously was being prepared for the inevitable experience of the shamanic rites that I would undertake in this lifetime. And as that time approached, I had come into knowledge that showed me how to induce this. And when I started going into this particular practice, something happened when I went deep into the core of my very being. I heard and felt something within myself that said to me, it's time to awaken. And though it was subtle, I started to experience very extremely strange things. Things that I could not put into words, let alone necessarily navigate. Also at this time, one of the individuals who I assumed was a friend was doing everything he could to cast dark magic on me. He knew that I was about to go to the next levels. There were 3 of us growing up. Me and another individual and this person that I'm mentioning. And as me and this other guy observed, we watched him start to go down the dark path. He and I, whom I will call Castor, did everything we could to compel him otherwise. But we started to see him move further and further into chaos, and also his conduct. At gatherings, we would witness him mind control the fuck out of everyone around us and literally get them to do as he willed. It was a microcosm of sorts to the ultimate dynamic that we are faced with in this world. And after that is when the process integration of my true templating really started to take me. It began to threaten what was riding his mind without realizing that he had been taken the fuck over. So to make a long story short, the process of shamanic rites of initiation took me. I was cast into the void, the abyss itself, and forced to face that which no man can put into words. I was given a vision, an experience of what is on the other side of the equation if people do not wake the fuck up for real. The track that this world is going towards otherwise, if this mission to incarnation does not move beyond a certain threshold in terms of the collective, the very force of ultimate darkness and ignorance in terms of chaos, to that were unleashed witnessed happen since 2020. And because of how fucked up it has been, there are worse consequences that will happen if people do not catch this shit. You must realize that the things that you are facing and that which you must overcome, even to the point of all out physical fucking war in the realm, touch this experience. Imagine all the wars and fear and torment and confusion compiled the aeons, going all the way back to the first war of the gods themselves on a repeat within your mind and very being experienced over and over again without reprieve or letting up. This is what I experienced. And as it started to become increasingly more difficult to deal with when I was going through my shamanic rites, I started to realize I was missing something in terms of true power to face it all. I had no reference for it. And as the days of this turned into weeks, they turned into months. And the months increased, and it had been a full year as it continued to increase every millisecond, as if time itself did not exist, my unconscious becoming conscious and my conscious becoming unconscious. And if anybody out there thinks that these lesser forces don't exist, you're among the most ignorant of all humans on the face of the entire fucking earth, to be used for fodder with your life keyed into a programmed infrastructure to their feeding ground on a drip. It's on a drip. And when I have seen them myself, and when I have had to face these things that no man could put into words, maybe it would make more sense as to why I am the way that I am. It's no consequence otherwise, whether people hear me or not. I've already crossed these thresholds. But as I observe, I recognize, especially this last year, these things being unleashed more. And also in context to the weapons technologies and the wormholes that are being torn the fuck open into our reality field as everyone turns a blind eye, not recognizing why this is taking place. I know what happens to humanity if you don't wake the fuck up for real. And regardless of what has been revealed, there is still not enough effort being made in terms of this on the levels necessary. I've been warning as much as I could and still do and have for many years now. And as to the results otherwise, having been through the process of facing the Prince of Darkness itself, as well as all of its hordes and consorts in real time, my literal brain was on fire for months upon months, and I was not able to control one aspect of the gauge of my perception to process when it came to what I was thinking and what I was feeling and experiencing during this process integration to shamanic rites of initiation. If there's any word for it, be it madness, be it fear, be it torment, insanity, apathy, and all the things that chaos produces, what happened does not even have a definition to it. There are no words in the English tongue that are available even to fully put into words what I witnessed the aeons to the abyss. Humanity has been veiled on account of the cataclysms that we have all faced in terms of the ancestors, and again is all up for review in terms of the present hour that we are living in context to the great healing that is now going to commence the Phoenix cycles 2024 going into 2028 now. The healing of the ancestors within our blood and bones. And it's also why their meat sacks on ground level were ordered to do what they did in 2020. If you don't think that the progression has been made in terms of this, you are wrong. And it's also why our race has, for whatever reason, been the most targeted here. You must realize why. If you want to know the truth, then you can. But you must also realize what is required. And you must realize that you also have to do what it takes in order to overcome quite literally anything that is taking place contrary to the alignment of your life, because you have the codes and the templating to do so. You have the codes and templating to remember, but you need to continue to wake the fuck up and continue to make the decision every single day to this process integration, and you must continue to see things through and do not ever give up. There came a point where these lower forces were trying to take me over completely, and I remember there were exactly 7 entities that were triangulating in upon me, and as I was writhing in my bed at the time, were engulfing my fucking brain that flooded my central nervous system without reprieve. And as I saw them literally shooting through my body, cackling and shrieking, as they screamed into my psyche for me to kill myself and join them to be feasted upon for infinity. These were the literal words that I heard. Something happened at that particular moment where I made the decision to say, fuck this shit. And as I did, from the very core of my being, I recall one of them saying, quote, "We cannot break him. He's too strong. No matter what we do, it's not breaking him." And as I witnessed these things begin to get frustrated with me, that is when I knew that there was something more happening. And it was at that moment that the higher force broke through. And in that moment of clarity, the higher force said to me quite clearly, "Sethikus, focus on me." And in terms of this is to do with the gates of true intelligence. And what's even more compelling is that the things I was experiencing before that moment became even worse after that moment in terms of these entities. After all this time of knowing the difference now, it was the Watchers themselves. I know that I have faced head on in terms of my experience. And as it continued for months, it happened for 2+ years straight, nonstop, every moment of every single fucking day. But at that moment, that peak experience that I had when the higher force broke through, that I realized what I needed to do, and I started doing it. I started to truly come from the core in terms of focus of my eternal spirit to soul code, blood code essence, and started to route this shit the fuck out of my templating. And again, to make a long story short, I came out the other side fully intact, shining forth and shed the aeons of these things that were contracted against my bloodline and lineage to incarnation, and took it all back in terms of my position. And in terms of the birthright, I was reminded why I incarnated here on Earth, to be part of reminding those to whom it's meant. These things, because there is a trajectory past it all, and no matter how it seems on the surface, no matter how dark and confusing these times can be, it is the individual that is doing the real work, that is going to make the mark in this world otherwise. More is definitely being exposed on the level, as I have observed, things that I've even addressed on a subtle level in terms of the platform. Humanity is still enthralled to the first veil, to the control factor from the lower astral grid works within the second veil, and being pulsed from the fourth veil into the third to an atavistic core wound lockdown in terms of unconscious manipulation. Again, as I've shared before, a very powerful quote by Master Teacher Dr. Phil Valentine stating, "The mythos is not merely a fanciful dead-letter fairy tale of the pretend achievements of the ancestors. It is an allegorically encoded schematic which contains the metaphysical formula of the higher sciences. And when it's acted out through ritual and ceremony to life, myth teaches, regulates, heals, and transforms within the collective consciousness of the people that birthed it, and to enter into the mythical dimension of existence through ritual to our lives is to enter into a time of primordial unity, a time where things were and are still in divine order. The alignment. Really think about what I just said to that quote and feel into what that is saying in context to truth and why the human races have been enslaved against all of this in terms of the current paradigm. And what I've experienced has been confirmed in terms of extensive amounts of research and study into the occult, and are things that cannot be refuted whatsoever, even as I continue to put them on the chopping block otherwise. You can test them for yourselves. Realize that what I experienced was not only profound in terms of the templating, but clear to the remembering that came to me by way of the higher force as it's been guiding me this entire fucking time. And again, to make the higher force our focus above all things and make it the top priority in terms of what we connect to on a daily basis. This is the one key ingredient that even Odin himself acknowledges within the mythos, seen to wisdom within the wellspring of Mimir himself. And as the Dark Ones have attempted to strip away the symbolic, ritualistic, and true spiritual philosophies and true traditions of all race, tribes, and cultures from their ornamental aspects of these occult gridworks of consciousness, it is the melding pot in terms of society that is a clear manifestation of what chaos magic has resulted in. Complete fucking disorder and confusion that has led to nothing more than a massive identity crisis in the earth. See, in terms of this segment, I'm going to make clear the difference between chaos and catharsis and explain why catharsis, especially ritual catharsis, is 100% necessary for not only our mental fucking sanity, but so we can make clear the path before us and not be pulled into the effect that chaos produces to its cause. On the surface, it may look the same when expressed, even as it was to my personal shamanic rites of initiation. One versus the other, however, leads to total fucking devastation in terms of de-evolution. The other, however, towards absolute and total liberation of the soul and the alignment otherwise of that which is required to wield true magic correctly. I know what the outcome of both actually are. It is to mark that at one time to our ancient past, this knowledge was not occult. It was common knowledge, if only at the base level of fundamentals and principles to how things actually work when it comes to reality. And if you search hard enough, you can discover, especially here with this mystery school, with me one-on-one, and all of the reference material that is available in the Black Earth Library with what has been kept to discover to the fundamentals of your personal basic techniques that need to be known to the basis of what actual initiation requires so that you can come to know the difference in alignment to the templating that is you. The basis of all magical practice is primarily the magician's consciousness. And again, the state of consciousness of the individual determines the outcome of everything. Again, it's all about our state of mind. So it's important to first and always continue to go back to protocol teaching to your actual foundation in terms of cosmic law as often as is required. And you need to stay the fuck focused. Figuratively speaking, you could also say that you are meant to bring the new aeon from within yourself. And if everyone did this and took actual initiation into the mysteries on the level, it would not only reform education, making people wise and versed in terms of truly knowing who they are and what their true purpose is, but it would systematically pull our realm into alignment otherwise from a place of core intelligence. But this doesn't come by getting lost in wishful thinking, intellectualizing topics of conversation that go nowhere but fucking circles without actual results to the latter. Thoughts must lead to words. Words must lead to plans with actual goals and objectives. that then lead to deeds to them, and these deeds to action must lead to more advanced deeds and action to their manifestation within your current capacity in order to push and stretch beyond these said limitations when the results that you require are not taking place fast enough, let alone at all. And to that they are cultivated, and also cultivated the right way to not be uprooted as you progress. As to the laws of nature itself, all of creation works in a synergistic flow that if you try to overtly manipulate, especially on the levels that the Dark Ones do, will have absolute and total devastating consequences otherwise. And the result to that is chaos. See, in the beginning, this awareness can only be brought about through external techniques, as far as being able to observe it. This in terms of research and study, and a deep dive into the actual occult, which again means hidden knowledge or secret knowledge. That's the only thing that's actually going to get you there. And feeling through these times, and above all, genuine connection to the higher force, accessing the gates of true intelligence from within your core. How all of it applies to you as an individual in terms of your personal templating. There is no pathwork on earth that is more powerful than what I am sharing here. And since we cannot assume that the seeker of these things knows exactly what constitutes their actual eternal spirit to soul code, blood code, consciousness, script code, codex, we are determined that the basis is also an approach to that mythical consciousness that must be acknowledged first and foremost at ground level. You cannot doubt yourself in terms of this path. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted. There is a price to pay, with which is the result of freedom and total responsibility to it. Accountability to the path is absolutely vital otherwise, without a strict code to live by. I guarantee that you will eventually fall to the wayside or be distracted away from what must constantly be adhered to without accountability unto yourself and your trusted peer group that actually fucking gets it. And if you can't find that, then you need to go into yourself anyway and be motivated from within constantly on a daily fucking basis. If you can't find it out there, it's probably an indication that you need to start it yourself. That's what I've done here with this platform. That's what I've done here with this mystery school. There was not a goddamn fucking thing out there I was looking for that even matched the frequency and vibration that I am emanating forth. So I had to create it. I had to carve this out of the fabric of the universe itself, because I knew that in the future there was going to be individuals like you listening to me right now that would be seeking on the level. We must start the world, just like Jack Donovan stated, and also the way of men. And the further the magician advances, the fewer external practices are used. These are necessary in the beginning in terms of ceremonial magic, so that you have been through enough training in terms of focus and also mastering how your thought and emotion operate. Again, taking it back to the first assignment that I give those for level 1 apprentice. Again, this is a lifelong assignment. I'm also on this assignment myself. Once an individual has brought out his magician consciousness, magical acts should take place internally. Always remember this, that you are the ritual, and that your very life is the ritual in terms of the quote I shared. And anyone who draws the conclusion here about inner alchemy and the mysterious, unproven magic of the empty hand is always going to be off point and pull people into wasting the magic energies on fantasy fucking bullshit. When you are starting out, as all of us did when we started to explore the many different things we are seeking answers to, in the beginning, it's worth dealing with different paradigms, although it plays an absolutely subordinate role in terms of the one that you're actually going to be sticking to when it comes to rites of initiation to the mystery school. The basics can only be learned and applied through constant practical work, quite literally for the rest of your entire life. The background is that if the paradigm is not important, the techniques used are also not important. The real question is this: what is important in terms of actual alignment? And what are the techniques that you need to master on the level in order to achieve its success in terms of that importance? What are your values? What is it that you are really going for in terms of your life? And knowing about them versus actually performing said techniques elicit more magician consciousness than a little candle lighting. That's all that fake shit. People can play dress up all the fuck they want. That's irrelevant when you cross a certain threshold. It's not to say that you don't continue in terms of ceremony, but it's in doing that we come to know a thing, not by simply observing it, then pulled into speculations and assumptions and opinions about it. When you don't know, you don't know. And you need to be okay with not knowing before anything can be known. If you've got a problem with that, then you're blocked from actually seeing and learning otherwise and are arrogant against that which you do not know or understand and are meant to overstand through and through. This is also where the fear of chaos flickers forth, the inverted sparks within, the eclipsed soul spark to your heart, concealing the first eye to even fucking see in the first place. The gauge of your perception to process, and finally actions that are not taking you in discovering a goddamn fucking thing. People are more confused in our world than they have ever been within the paradox of all things allegedly being unveiled to the great apocalypse that we have been fucking experiencing. All of it, though, is held within the trapezoid. And this was one of the main points of the Dark Sorcerers, who deal firsthand in chaos magic, to overwhelm and flood the mind with copious amounts of information without the slightest fucking clue on how to discern it, let alone see things for what they are. There was no guidance for it. It's just been a goddamn fucking free-for-all that's led to even greater mind control than we have ever fucking seen. And yet, the Silver Gate being presented otherwise for those to whom it's meant. Here we deal with techniques whose principles can be transferred into almost any paradigm in terms of existence and can therefore be navigated as the individual is trained. This goes for anyone on the level that is willing and wants to know and wants to learn and wants to master their existence in terms of being human. And for this reason alone, all further work is completely useless if the fundamentals and principles of basics have not been trained properly, let alone seekers who can't do anything much against actual chaos magic. Distracted, which is exactly what chaos magic is designed to do. It is designed to derail your ass. It is designed to pull you into realms of confusion and self-destruction. And with all the bullshit rituals and practices and belief systems and all this fucking shit, let alone, again, the intellectual circle jerks to the outer rim of the void's wheel, on and on and on and on and on about things, again, with no fucking change to them in context whatsoever. There may be a change shape, but they never lose their form and context, and that's the spokes that continue to be thrown in the wheel constantly day in and day out, and you can't even discern the fucking difference because your goddamn IQ capacity has been fucking weakened right on down to about 40. And where me and my kind are, that's a massive fucking chasm. I don't even know if any of you listening to me right now are actually fucking hearing me. You need to hear from within yourself that place of core intelligence working to get your fucking attention. And if you want to know what the face of chaos looks like on the level, then you need to look no further than the goddamn internet and context to the general consensus of what the fuck people are doing with this technology, let alone the mainstream media itself. Again, the internet is the physical manifestation of the ether. And if you don't know how to navigate your way through the ether and course correct in order to transcend here, I can 100% guarantee that you are caught whether you realize it or not. There are various atavisms that the majority of men and women and even children deal with all across the board without even fucking knowing it. That is what is being expressed in terms of the ethers. And most of it, with most of them, is on a repeat to programming. And it's clear when I see the haze in people's eyes where they actually fucking are. In fact, they don't even realize that they are conditioned to want to escape their responsibility to awaken, and do not realize that it is one of the main cause points as to why they suffer in life. It's why you suffer, motherfuckers. which is 100% the result and is necessary in order for you to wake the fuck up. Otherwise, you get devoured and become fodder for the meat grinder that you've been conditioned to. And with that, we're going to pull this segment into a break. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. I'll be right back, right after this.
Over the chosen land of the virgin.
Welcome back from the break. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. Go down into the description, click a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the website at blackearthproductions.com. Those of you out there interested in the Mystery School, click on the services page, go through everything, and send me a direct email at blackearthproductions with an S at the end at hotmail.com. This is how to get a hold of me directly in terms of correspondence. And as with everything on the website, make sure to go through the archives, as they're also laid out here on the Black Earth Productions channel. And now to continue with this segment. Think about your life right now and realize that what we are experiencing here has meaning. All of this has meaning. And all of you listening out there, they don't want you to remember a goddamn thing. They want you weak. They want you apathetic. They want you burned out. They want you fucking lazy. They want you indifferent, and to shut the fuck off to anything that is required for you to rise and remember to live to your full potential. And it's not some cliche thing I'm saying here in terms of that. The way to actually discover one's full potential has been concealed from us also as well. And at best, even as it currently stands, it manifests in the shallow end of the pool. And you can learn how to swim, metaphorically speaking. And are some of the effects produced by those that have got tiny, tiny slivers of what I'm getting at here. But there is more. There is so much more to behold, especially this year, 2024, year of the motherfucking dragon. As you are observing a dragon in human form, white dragon lineage, bloodline, and context. I will say this and make it very clear on here. As for any idiot out there that says or even assumes that I am to do with some kind of dark Luciferian satanic Sethian current, these are the things that also refer to mainly the inverted energy currents of the Saturnian gate, which hence became the building blocks of the abyss itself, void and uncumbered and vast beyond comprehension to anyone who has not transcended it like me and my kind have, which is why we hold the positions that we do. You morons are being tricked, the gauge of your perception, and I will never stop in terms of what I am here to do, and all while witnessing the world in thrall. These blind shells that choose to gnash their teeth in utterance to a dead language are a part of that, and even worse, indifferent to it, which is what the Dark Ones count on. You are the enemies of soul. You are the ones being controlled by them. You are the enemies of life and are part of perpetuating the ultimate evil in this realm, and you are dishonored and you are disgraced. And anyone by now that has taken actual initiation and has done the real work to know the difference in terms of who I am, to take it further to what has targeted their minds, you should know that there are countless false gods in terms of black magic, from Yama to Thanatos. I can go on and on exposing these motherfuckers, even as I have. One of the worst ones, though, is the blind god Azazoth, whose slaves have manifested greater in our realm than they ever have in the histories of the world. It's no different in terms of cycles, especially the grand cycle. But we are now coming into the Phoenix cycles officially in 2024, year of the dragon. And all that has been stacked against you has been burning down on the other side of the equation, which is why it has all risen to the surface since 2020. A massive reflection of what happened did in terms of the great betrayal. And those that have stood their ground against it, I commend you for not caving in, and I commend you for not giving up. All of us were pressured and tested to the hilt, as the hearts of mankind have and will continue to be weighed before the great halls of the Black Wolf itself. And in terms of the mythos, I am reminded of Hodor, the blind god, who was influenced by Loki, and is the one who fired the branched needle An arrow right into the heart of Balder by Loki, who was always jealous of those of us in Midgard and desires nothing more than to rule as the one quote-unquote true god. Where the fuck did all of these ideologies come from? See, you must understand and know what the fuck I'm saying. That things in terms of the mythos, when it comes to the tradition of my ancestors, going well into prehistory has warned against all of this. And that is what everyone in the fucking West needs to know and needs to hear, especially now. This is what has been twisted against your hearts and minds, otherwise not knowing the difference, recognizing that we, the Volsung, stand counted and honored among the gods. Even as it states, God is within us, to its concept. This is what it means to assume the archetype. And this is why the gods are looking upon us to rise from the fucking grave, the gate of judgment, and that which brought forth the ancestors' demise to the ancient past. The white dragon prophecy is also to do with the return of Balder. And in the Native American tradition, this is in reference to Pahana, the great white brother. And this surges through my veins, as it has. And I've seen the confirmations otherwise. They're all too clear. And despite whatever happens, there will be a generation of humanity that remembers fully and brings all the worlds and universes back into alignment onto the original timeline that humanity and the gods are meant to be on, bringing things forward in terms of the mythos, which reveals the Ragnaroker and can only truthfully be speculated upon, in that there is no ultimate reference for it. This is what the new mythos requires. Upon the blood, upon the bones of the saga that we are living now, in terms of the ancient future, in order to be written, so that everything is remembered and also logged within the Great Hall of Records to this blip on the fucking timeline, which has lasted, what, 50,000 fucking years? That ain't shit. That ain't fucking shit compared to the actual occult history, going well into millions and millions of years of prehistory. Remembered. It must be acknowledged. Our people must acknowledge this on the level here on earth, to never be forgotten within the blood and bones to those in terms of the ancient future, and bringing back what we were torn away from and that which belongs to us in terms of the birthrights of mankind. You must understand that it only belongs to those that will earn it through the trials of these times. This is not freely given, and it's not some goddamn golden ticket to fucking heaven in context of vicarious atonement. That is not how this works. It's never worked like that. Look what that result has fucking brought. That result has brought nothing but goddamn fucking chaos upon the realm, as it continues to. This idea that everything was wiped away and you get to do whatever the fuck you want to, that is fucking bullshit. No, this is where the new mythos has revealed itself to the original teaching. And it's where all of the great masters taught within the mystery schools that existed to the pre-fall timeline trajectory. This was also worldwide, and it's the threshold beyond our ancient past to the post-fall timeline trajectories that have led up to our current paradigm, reflecting the rift of our eternal spirit to the void itself and everything that everyone is still fucking caught in. Mind you, again, as I have said, this is something that has never been done before since what happened did, and the time period between now and then should not be too short. The effect of black magic to chaos is the tool of activating deadened consciousness. Deadened fucking consciousness. And depends on precise knowledge of all forms of consciousness to manipulate them otherwise. It would be more than practical to know the tactics of your actual fucking enemy here. And also how hyperdimensional warfare operates in context of Ulfadnar training, if you were going to know the extent of the dynamics of what it means to be on the front lines of this goddamn fucking war. We came here to end the war. Level 1 apprentice is required before that level could ever be taken, let alone know what is required to end the war. Most of you still have not a fucking clue of what that actually is or what it actually looks like. And if you don't realize that we are in a war which is psychic as fuck, on top of what you can't see right in front of you, building up your ability, psychic self-defense, which is key to common sense, know the fucking difference. Most of you don't know your ass from your left hand, let alone your right. You want to try to come at me? It's not going to work. And if you choose to be my enemy, then you're fucking irrelevant. I know who I am through and through, and also held accountable to it. And though none of us are perfect, I am well beyond the thresholds to be imagined still by any average individual out there. This is not about me or thinking that I know more. It's about knowing that I do, because it can be measured. There is a measurement to the things that I have shared on the platform, with actual results, not only in terms of my own life, but every single person that has taken initiation into this mystery school and gotten the results otherwise. It is 100% irrefutable. That is how confident I am in terms of this. And with what truth is revealed otherwise in context to the mystery school, knowing about it is not an escape from the war, let alone reality or the contrast of whatever conflicts you may be experiencing within yourself in terms of your circumstances, as well with other individuals. It's about applying wisdom to these situations. And it's at the very least, again, a map and a true guide otherwise. And I'm right here standing side by side with everyone, even at a distance, regardless of what any level anyone is at. Grounded and forging forth in terms of this mission. If you were to go further and dedicate yourself to your dedication, this should include daily evocations and rituals if you have done level 2 adept Wolf of No training with the mystery school, in order for establishing an even greater connection with the higher force, the place and realm of primal sound screaming forth to ecstasy and clarity within your templating. This is one of the most powerful weapons that we have in terms of hyperdimensional war, the Fire Letter Codex, in context, the activation of the language of your eternal spirit, the flame codes of not just your templating, but the flame codes of the ancestors themselves, in order to ward and clear and protect our fields on a daily basis. And not obsessing over what they are doing or obsessing over shit that you're not in control of. Many are constantly drawn out, provocation after provocation, cornered the fuck in on in terms of triangulation. And at those points, you better start swinging the fuck back as hard as you can and as accurate as you fucking can, whether or not you know the things that I speak of. Otherwise, again, to stand your ground and focus beyond this fucking bullshit. We do not turn the other cheek here. And we do not hope forward for our enemies. Evil cannot be negotiated with. Do you understand? Do you actually fucking understand what I'm saying? Evil cannot be negotiated with. There is no delegation. There is no fucking parlay. There is no meeting on the goddamn field to negotiate terms with your fucking enemy. Not with this. And you have to know how they fucking operate on levels beyond what you have come to assume. Once the first veil is pierced in terms of the collective, and then they see clear what the fuck is really going on, you're going to remember the things that I spoke about on this platform. Again, evil cannot be negotiated with. And I'm telling you this also in context to all of the great leaders from the past that even remotely knew the difference on levels within the first veil. All of them failed for this one fucking reason alone above all others. And that was not instituting the alignment of the higher force to an entire fucking nation, let alone humanity as a whole, to try and make peace with it. The higher force is not a god. The higher force is beyond all gods. The higher force is not the god of religion. The higher force is not the god of the religions of the trifecta and all of their leftist communist agendas in terms of fucking Zionism. This has nothing to do with goddamn Lucifer or any of the gods in terms of any allegory. This is to do with the power of the Jedi itself. It is pure, raw, infallible consciousness and is the isness of what is and is truly eternal and will never fail. The principle to it has been appropriated and twisted in context. It doesn't require worship. It doesn't require sacrifice. It doesn't require that you bow down. It requires that you believe in yourself and fucking remember. You gotta remember. And as explained in the archives of Amente itself, it is the Aten Ra that has been forgotten, which, however, is the premise of what protocol teaching requires connection to in terms with this mystery school. There will never be peace in our realm when evil is allowed to rule, and there will never be peace within the snares of chaos and your indifference to it. There has never been, and there will never be an agreement with it, and there will never be a fucking day in all of creation that it will respect truth itself in terms of being rational. No, you do not fully understand what the fuck we are up against here. It's not their meat sacks on ground level. And people want to argue about who's in control of the fucking world and all this shit. None of those motherfuckers are in control. It goes well beyond what you see on a surface level. It's what is riding in on the consciousness that's the real fucking issue here. Seen under microscopes in terms of the needlecraft. You do not understand how ancient the fucking AI is. And it's nothing new. No, we must be led unto ourselves in our connection to core intelligence with one another. That is the only thing that is going to make happen what must and what is necessary. And that is the actual fucking solution. All of these things that I've ever shared in segments have first and foremost come from a place of aspiration unto myself. And the things that have been revealed to me, the things that I've been able to speak forward have always been to aspire that. And anyone else who is listening, I can ever only hope that it is inspirational, and I feel and observe that it has been. I don't give myself to placate false humility or feel the need to diminish myself for anything, for anyone, but to move forward with wisdom and the scales unto its gates in terms of correspondence. There is more that is going to continue to reveal itself. I've learned more about what all of this is in terms of my lineage and what all of this represents, and others with mind-blowing results. Progression has been made, but it's also being tested. It's being tested with all of us. And in order to move forward, we as magicians, let alone the actual shaman class that I am a part of, should experiment with eliminating the parts of ourselves that are necessary to eliminate. This is a spell and ritual true transformation, and is designed to kill all of the undesirable character traits that, when it happens, is going to be useful for you. In the same fashion, parasitic beings can also be destroyed. Let's be straight about this shit, all right? They want to take our magic and twist it otherwise, which is also why our kind can be hit as hard as we are. When you're making advancements and getting actual fucking results because of the power of our movement, being magicians is doing the things that I say that they are. Testing transformation spells on certain things is a profitable investment. And because only by example can the magicians see what is really going on, we must become ruthless researchers to even know the difference in terms of these dynamics. The runes whisper wisdom to me from the womb of the gods. The Norns whispered as well, our rivers of fate to the Bifrost, which reveals the right path. And the gods are calling us to sing the high song. This is what our souls sing on the high day of vision and will to meaning and purpose that is in alignment with nature, the universe, and the higher force. But when it comes to chaos as a dark nihilistic philosophy that people have co-signed, which is the cause point for actual chaos. The idea that nothing means anything and nothing is true or can actually be known to be true, and that everything is permitted, total fucking destruction for the sake of destruction, to the dire consequence otherwise: willful ignorance, apathy, unconscious mental punishment, guilt, shame, remorse, clinical depression, mental disorders, hopelessness, despair, entropy, stagnation, psychopathy, and eventual fucking rot from the inside out. As above, so below, to its triangulated manipulation factors in terms of twisting the law of correspondence. That's the second cosmic law. And that is what the void is. That is what the abyss is, to its wormhole hook-in point within the templating. And potentially, if left unchecked, will bring forward a total fucking evaporation and extraction to their dark axiom, order out of chaos. This is the result that their overlords require. Fuck them. Realize the difference, and also realize this whole concept brought forth the New Age movement, that energy is somehow ongoing. No, that's also a lie. It can be harvested and it can be fucking evaporated, motherfuckers. Non-existence. And when left unchecked and unchallenged and not transmuted in terms of the alchemical rites of initiation, if the energy body cannot navigate through the attacks that are taking place with it, on top of the inner battles that must be won, have been healing through the indifference against our souls, yes, it can be severely damaged, which will also affect the physical body and obviously affects individuals to even be able to do the real great work on the levels that they could otherwise. And that is the point of embracing the healing arts, but also is why chaos has been unleashed into our world to lock you the fuck down into that fucking paradox, so that you don't cross that goddamn threshold and amplified otherwise on an unconscious, subconscious level. And even worse now, to human 2.0 and the transhuman timeline. See, when the indifference is left unchecked, it will lead further to complete and total disassociation and self-murder. And it's the very nature of the vampires themselves, soulless and void-ridden by the parasite, that does nothing but devour the essence of life and existence, and takes against and tears everything down around it. Whether people want to take this to the mistakes that Aleister Crowley did make in his later years in context to rituals that he and Victor Nürnberg went into with C333, which were inspired by the works of Dr. John Dee and Edward Kelly. What was it that they were fucking with in context? Those that are versed with me should know the difference in context to what they were fucking with. And it was the Watchers themselves via the Svartalfar. Or you could take the things that Austin Osman Spare or Kenneth Grant brought forward. Or when it comes to the pack of Illuminates of Thanatos in terms of the IoT formed by Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin, solidifying chaos magic in the realm. Again, as I've stated, when you go against protocol in terms of the universal laws of metaphysics and the eternal axioms and how things actually work, and assume that you're going to get away with this kind of shit, you can sure as shit fucking bet, just like it happened to those who decided that they can just go do whatever the fuck they want and try to manipulate it against mankind. All of them eventually get taken and are devoured by chaos itself. Mark my fucking words. If you go straight into what you assume works otherwise without realizing this in terms of ritual and the law of cause and effect, the law of cause and effect is going to have its recourse. There are individuals that obviously get certain results, but at what cost? At what actual price? All of it clearly comes from and is rooted also in Gnosticism when you take a good look at it. And it's a major cause point to victim mentality and the idea that you don't have any power to begin with, as to twist the basic fundamentals and principles or discard them altogether to suit to an eclipsed perception to process that is no less uninspired by the gates of true intelligence itself. Duality is a factor in terms of cosmic law and reveals itself so that the law of polarity can be mastered. There is no getting away from it. It cannot be bypassed or transcended in terms of spiritual escapism, let alone scientific materialism to its opposite extremes. We are both spiritual and physical, and both by themselves within the multidimensional paradox cannot transcend. Both are necessary, and it's a violation of cosmic law and how things actually work otherwise. This is the unification of opposites within an equal spectrum to wisdom that not only gives us the actual ability to transcend, but also to anchor the higher here, where we stand on ground level in terms of mastering our existence in alignment. And to see reason and rational capacity as some kind of chain is fucking nonsense. And people that want to go that route and that want to glorify the paradox but can't even make the correlations within an alleged half-truth do not even get it. They may have fragments of the thing, but it's only ever given to speculation and assumption for whatever reason they don't want to reach past the limitations of an alleged perception to any paradox that requires actual fucking effort. And when individuals don't have the 360-degree view of anything locked down into all of these triangulation factors that fractal out on themselves, that fractal out and will continue to, leads to nothing more than moral relativism within the practice of magic, which is also a violation of what true magic is, let alone high magic, and what it actually requires to manifest things in alignment. The primordial gridworks of consciousness are not without structure. They very well have their structure in terms of the original teaching, which reflects the isness of existence itself. This has nothing to do with dogma either, as certain individuals may assume that chaos is all potential, when rather, if left unchecked and without structure, leads to all potential being devoured by itself. That's what chaos is. And this is when things fail, because the potential for them to be successful needs a certain organization and structure. As I've said, true magic is knowing how to organize chaos and must be approached in a unique way, and has to be approached in terms of the individual to how magic actually works and is structured within the template of an individual in terms of their potential to protocol. Also, the idea that chaos magic is what shamanism is one of the greatest misrepresentations and misappropriations that has ever been fucking uttered in terms. Unless, of course, you're speaking about dark shaman. That in context, I 100% agree. They are servants of the abyss. And see, you have to keep things in context, guys, when it comes to parse syntax and quantum grammar. That way, you cannot be tricked when it comes to language. And yes, it's a lot to get into and takes time to know. But without that in your tool belt, we're not going to know what people are actually saying when they're saying certain things, which leads to what? Chaos. And as a shaman myself, I have bred beyond the thresholds that are only alluded to in terms of theory and speculation. I know what chaos and the void are first fucking hand and transcended that rift. You can't throw the baby out with the goddamn bathwater here. The primordial gridworks are nothing to do with chaos. They're to do with clarity and ecstasy and their eternal structures that quest between the fucking void of chaos itself unto what is truly primordial has to be navigated correctly and remembered in terms of focus on the higher force. Even Odin himself, as I've said here, acknowledges the higher force, as do all of the ancestors in terms of the gods. And with all of this postmodern transcultural pseudo shamanism that wants to negate actual traditions that have their root going millions of years into prehistory, is nothing to do with what true shamanism actually is. If you think that human consciousness in terms of its current condition to the programming against the soul, when allegedly nothing means anything as meaning, that is insanity. And also to assume that human consciousness only exists as some kind of phenomenological process bearing no predetermined trajectory or essence that inhabits an intrinsic ontological nature, that's fucking bullshit. That's a fucking lie. Listen. If books and teachings from others and personal subjective experiences are the only ways to know anything, especially by the individual I mentioned as a limited reference point, then that is what dogma is. I've had my experiences. You've also had your experiences. There's things that you know. There's things that I know. There's things that other people out there know that I might not know, vice versa. There is no one fucking person on the face of the earth that has all the answers. But there is a way to discover the truth for yourself in terms of the answers that you seek, and knowing how things actually work can systematically reveal themselves to you as an individual. And then, if you're doing things correctly, will confirm themselves through other individuals that are doing this shit for fucking real. That is how to gauge it correctly, not by accumulating information and thinking that you're going to get there because you have a stack of books you haven't fucking read and you don't even fully understand what you're approaching in context or how to navigate that fucking content. It is specific, again, in terms of how things actually work and how the individual's template works in context. And all of it is a total fucking contradiction otherwise to an alleged philosophy. And if you're going to have an extremely skewed method in context to any alleged path work, the New Age movement has done a very good job sugarcoating the fucking shit out of everything and has been a part of the twisting. And if human consciousness is not in alignment with the higher force in terms of the gates of true intelligence, what do you think the condition and result is going to be? Again, it's going to be fucking chaos, which is nothing more, again, than complete and total disorder and confusion. Look at the state and the condition of the fucking world. Look at it without obsessing over it either. Look at it to observe and see it for what it is and why it is what it is and how it is manifested and what you need to do about it as an individual, as a group, as a collective. I don't give a fuck how it's approached. This is what chaos manifests as we see clear from a place of rational observation otherwise. And if people are going to throw all kinds of fear and bullshit at you and try to tear you down, you are to take all of that and transmute the energies of hysteria and madness into love for truth and wisdom otherwise as you temper yourselves in these situations and organize your shit in alignment. As it is said, no weapon formed against us is going to ever prosper. And if you actually take that into consideration, you must realize that Discordianism, I'll say it again, Discordianism, as it's even stated by Carl Jung, is founded on the notion of the trickster and reveals its many shape-shifted forms in terms of its specific archetype. And what we see happening in the world right now is a certain manifestation of the Feast of Fools in terms of the collective unconscious gridworks fired up the core wound of humanity, left unchecked, and was unleashed in context. What have I said about Loki and the old ones the past few years? What have I said about Gulvig? What have I said otherwise to why all of this has happened to the precession of the grand cycle? What have I said about the mythos being more real than people can imagine, and why our true traditions have been worked against to be eradicated off the face of the entire earth itself? It's so that we don't remember and then are subject to a vampiric desert blood cult from the roots of the Sumerian Draconian Empire to Set Typhon itself, because that's all it's produced ever since its poisoned inception. Realize that chaos is the strict dogmatic violation of cosmic law and does not acknowledge the ancestors in terms of the gods and goddesses, let alone the wisdom of soul, and to see things through a skewed psychological lens, into an AI paradigm in terms of its pragmatism to an alleged belief system to it. Again, cause and effect are going to have their recourse. It's the knowing otherwise reflected that which is within us that is going to get us there, not assumptions about philosophy to them otherwise. And especially when you don't really believe it, let alone know it, or even know the difference. What does it mean to connect with the ancestors? What does it actually mean to awaken the blood that is coursing through your veins? What does it actually mean? I can assure you that the God realms exist. They've always existed. And again, if everything is given over to moral, relativistic, subjective, postmodern, subjective interpretation without a knowing to clarity otherwise, chaos will have its way in terms of confusion to a thing. It doesn't matter what it is, especially in context to what I'm saying. It's going to be in one ear, out the other, right over your fucking head, and then you're off to the other fucking goddamn video or whatever the fuck you're doing on your end. I don't know what's going on your end, but I know what the fuck is going on my end and where all of this is going. It's had its manifestation, and it's going to continue to have its manifestation. And when you get focused in life, you don't get to pick and choose what you want at any given time and think that that's going to work by discarding what you need to be focused on like it's some kind of trash shit when it's used on a pseudo mock-up. What utter fucking dishonor and disgrace that is to spit upon true shamanic traditions worldwide. The true traditions of your people and all peoples all across the world. Realize that in terms of chaos, nothing is sacred. Nothing has any real meaning. The idea that something is real and not real at the same time, in terms of this bullshit philosophy, absolutely violates any true rational capacity to know a thing otherwise. And with that, we're going to pull this segment into a break. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. I'll be right back, right after this.
Away. Thank you so much. This is Strength.
Life
break. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. And now, to continue with this segment. All of us are obviously going to have our own experiences with things. But if we negate the experiences of others that are rational and that are in alignment, to consider at the very least, especially those who are versed and that can back it up, then you are limited in terms of what you could be potentially coming into experience with, let alone coming into the knowing otherwise. An individual's subjective experience must align to how the objective reality field actually operates on a multidimensional level. And if you don't know how all of this is also being used against you unwitted, your experiences will be chaotic. As for the principle of deconditioning, again, the idea that the ego is something that can be overridden or killed or done away with is nonsense. The ego is the internal dragon in context to the soul spark and also in context to alchemy. Left unchecked and out of alignment, it's layered up, it's tarred over to an individual's processing abilities. This is also revealed in terms of our communication to the gauge of our perception, and is a question of whether or not the internal dragon has ignited the gates of true intelligence and has ignited the true will force and going through the process integration of the imperial self, who you truly are. Chaos is going to bring a deconditioning of the true self against the very soul and is programming against it otherwise. This also is a contradiction in terms of its twisted principle, and how we approach a thing will determine greatly how we are going to experience a thing. If you have a shitty outlook, you can expect to get shitty fucking results. If you have an optimistic outlook despite any challenges that may arise as obstacles, as challenges, some are absolutely necessary in order to know the difference. The way that you approach a thing is how you are going to experience a thing. Getting into the practice of organizing chaos, the chances are that you are going to get the results you actually want to be experiencing if the goal is to enter into a higher state of consciousness, the imperial self. If the goal, as it's been for many, is to enter into an altered state, the results will manifest alters within the personality. In extreme cases are the cause points of multiple fucking personality disorder, which further is a result of what chaos manifests. Again, your state of mind is key, and especially when it comes to the wiring of the nervous system itself. If an individual has issues in terms of navigating a conscious state of mind, reaching into the unconscious and subconscious mind field is going to be a detriment instead of a benefit in terms. Again, initiation into the mystery school is what I encourage, so that navigation in terms of the right fundamentals and principles are known. This is nothing to do with a belief system. This is nothing to do with dogma. This is to do with how things actually work in terms of reality. And so now that I've covered things in terms of chaos, it is now time to dive into things in context to catharsis. To start, the definition of catharsis is the process of releasing and thereby providing the means to heal and express from very strong repressed emotion, meaning to purify or to cleanse and purge thoughts in terms of chaos by way of expressing them through emotion and organize them in terms of catharsis. That is what catharsis is. That is what catharsis requires. Now, in context to true shamanism, when it comes to Seder specifically, when one enters into ritual catharsis and is expressed, it can be extremely terrifying to an onlooker and is often mistaken for chaos in context. Chaos again has its roots in terms of willful ignorance, apathy, guilt, shame, remorse, stagnation, entropy, and rot. and does express itself in the same fashion when it comes to a psychological projection and total lack of self-awareness. This, though, in terms of catharsis, is when an individual becomes fully aware otherwise, and they have no choice but to express. In ancient times, when things were in alignment to the original purpose of incarnation when it comes to the biospiritual regenesis, the Galder was present in terms of assisting individuals through the points of navigation and process of ritual catharsis. And ritual catharsis is not your typical ritual. This is a threshold that many, for whatever reason, are in fear of going into, which will lead to chaos and implosion if not incorporated into one's existence or personal practice, especially with the mystery school. On a note, things in terms of this can be induced when it comes to entheogens. And if used correctly in context, not that this is the only use, but past a certain threshold, they will indefinitely thrust you into the lower astral grid works to their experiences and visions, and brings up what is happening within the unconscious subconscious mind field to be revealed. True shamanism, however, does not require entheogens. True shamanism to induction happens all on its own to the integration of the soul spark within an individual's templating in terms of the internal dragon awakening the exact same results and reveals the chaos that you were in denial of, but at the same time gives you a trajectory to start organizing otherwise. This happens through the ignitions of the higher force itself. The process can be brutal, and again, unfortunately, is not conducive in this current society. And that is how much people are living in fear otherwise, to a major indifference. On top of it all, I'm not speaking about some kind of demon, which, yes, in fact, is an actual demon revealed to literal occult manuscripts. That is what chaos looks like in denial. A complete and total fucking irrational expression coming from a place of total fucking fear and confusion. Alas, there is no getting away from our true nature as humans. And without guidance, true guidance, and wisdom in context of proper knowledge, the end results are the manifestations of chaos. And as to the trajectory of the lower astral grid works, one must access the true guide, who is the father of all wolves and is the great symbol of the higher force in terms of the ancient traditions of the Hyperborean timeline to the Great North, millions of years into prehistory. Also in context to Albion, the Codex of Albion itself, present with us now as they are eternal and will always be eternal. And in order to move through the conscious process necessary that the conscience reveals to us, if left unchecked, the person does not know what they are getting into. In many cases, may end up worse. But sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. Again, things are a paradox, and you have to keep things in context. To the latter, though, which is then capitalized upon by fake shamans and fake-ass healers that could have had some of their people come and taken 30 fucking ayahuasca trips and nothing has actually healed. Nothing has actually happened, or no progression has actually taken place. If anything, their minds are more mucked the fuck up in terms of a goddamn fucking fantasy, and they start to lose touch with reality. And what a lot of these people don't realize is that that's not what's going to get you there. What's going to get you there is the trajectory met during the whitening stages to its integration process with alchemy, specifically when it comes to true healing. And when priming the prima materia, physical health is of the utmost importance to the integration factors of the internal dragon and to its flight in continuance. The desired result in terms of catharsis is a higher state of renewal and restoration, fortitude and strength. Yet the contrast between chaos and catharsis is a thin red line. Both again border on that line to their expression, but the two are diametrically opposite. And the process evolution that takes place with catharsis or de-evolution with chaos, both are the same in terms of what can be measured and are equal on that line. The difference, though, is that one continues things forward and the other past its point of hitting rock fucking bottom to the point of no return hits a very real dead end. Everyone nowadays seems to want to downplay emotion. In the world, everyone seems to be okay with things being mental because you're thinking that makes you logical. And yes, this is 100% necessary. We have philosophical conversations and can equate and make correlations to increase our capacity to our perception to process and mastering rational capacity and being grounded. It's okay to be physical. We are working on our bodies as it is very important, as physically fit as possible. And all of us, I don't care who you are out there, can be better physically, which I have been working on very, very hard. It's okay to crave something in terms of physical things and what the physical body wants. And it's a point to listen to our physical bodies because they are a type of soil that the universal tree is ultimately planted in when it comes to our templating on a multidimensional level. But when you start talking about emotion, it's not okay to be emotional in society. And people in our society do not understand emotions, let alone hold a sense of true emotional intelligence. Even in terms of my observations, most people have turned into docile fucking robots, numbed the fuck out and unwitted otherwise with all these SSRIs or whatever the fuck people are taking. When I go into public, for the most part, people, whether they realize it or not, are in the thralls of chaos, going hither and thither, having a dislike for emotion. No matter what the fuck they're feeling, they want to numb it the fuck out. A lot of people actually dislike emotions. No matter what kind of emotion it seems to be, realize that emotion is important because the mind itself is not enough. Yes, it's all about your state of mind. Yes, it's all about being stoic and fucking rational when emotional intelligence is actually expressed. That's just the first step in the equation, and again, rests within the body politic, physically speaking, to another phenomenon. The mind is not enough to exist on its own in this realm. It's the emotions that are the cause point that really set the stage for our existence here. And ironically, the mental realm is something that most still have great difficulty knowing what it actually is due to the manipulation of our physical lives and the physical world. And with emotions left unchecked and unmastered can take people into crazy fucked up shit, the manifestations of chaos otherwise, to not just mental mind control, but emotional mind control. The real question you should be asking and observing every single day is whether or not you are in control of these things unto yourselves. And this is why people don't like emotion. They can pull you into situations where you're not operating from a rational capacity in terms of being mature, let alone spiritually mature. And when they become repressed, let alone unacknowledged to any inquiry as to why they are there in the first place, regardless of these factors, they are letting you know something. And there's never a point in your entire life that you will never not deal with or experience emotion, let alone the potential manipulation of your emotional capacity as far as true intelligence is concerned, until you really come to know what emotions actually are and why they are so important, and also why they are so targeted. Even more than your thoughts themselves. The two inherently are connected though, and there is no separating the two. They are a major part of what I call the radar of mind. It's to note this, that they are nothing to do with the five physical senses and their abilities, let alone what you feel with the ability. Those are something else and come as a result in terms of what I'm getting at here, our sensory abilities on a higher level. Realize that emotion are a part of a gauge of your perception and are inherently a major part of the wiring of the nervous system itself. They are the fuel. They are the gauge. They are the fire. They are the water. They are the energy in motion that we consistently experience, whether we are awake or whether our bodies, physically speaking, are resting. They never go away. And we are able to experience them to a process of true intelligence or lack thereof. You can't vicariously live through something outside of yourself. You will never actually know what it is like to be anyone else fully. You can gauge with the radar of mind otherwise. Look, I saw footage of a Palestinian man in Gaza surrounded by the fucking wreckage and devastation, and the look in his eyes and the energy and the emotion that he was emitting was 100% authentic to an unbearable shock that caused me to personally break fully into tears over this fucking shit. I went straight into the process of catharsis. It happened all on its own. The induction from my core intelligence and catharsis to this shit and what it takes amidst what the truly wicked in our world unleash in terms of chaos. I cannot imagine fully what he was feeling, but when I saw what he was experiencing, felt something past the surface of what could be observed and the level of unbearable fucking grief, it made me realize even more why I do what the fuck I do. And I was screaming at him as I watched, do not give up! Don't give up, motherfucker! No matter what! And as the tears were streaming down my face with that call to wisdom, the sorrow that comes with it will sometimes from time to time seem absolutely fucking unbearable. And while everybody else in the world is reaching for escapism to these aspects of what actual wisdom requires to right action, they're all being fattened up, whether literally or metaphorically speaking, for the fucking slaughter. And I would rather have wisdom in sorrow than pseudo happiness that is paper thin and shatters at any point when actual fucking reality hits it. And to that shit that does actually tear it away, with which is authentic in alignment to what real joy actually looks like and expresses itself. That was the extreme opposite of what the fuck was on this man's face, with that look of why the fuck as tears were streaming down in total utter fucking shock. I can guarantee the justified flame of anger to wisdom will be what rises up within him and anyone else that actually fucking gets it. See, in our modern times, nothing has changed since ancient times. You've just been veiled against it all. And those are the cries of not only this generation, but every fucking goddamn generation that has preceded us. We are here to answer those cries with the actual solution by allowing ourselves to express authentically from a place of wisdom and action to make this world a better place. And while using our emotion correctly, we can wield magic correctly and course correct this shit on levels that still have not been seen since what happened did. This is how it is in terms of reality, unless you have very real psychic ability to do more. See, society is fueled by emotional stimulation, but people are punished or looked down upon for being authentically emotional. It's to say, especially as a man, that we as men must be led by our rational capacities. But there is never a fucking point that we as humans are never going to experience the emotional charges that surge through our very being 24/7 on a constant basis. Quote, you need to calm down. You're being negative. You're being too emotional. Blah, 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 and all that fucking shit. See, no, when anyone of truth or wisdom is expressing themselves in this manner, fully aware of how they are being, fuck that shit. I am always fully aware of how I am being at any given time. And in terms of astropsychology, the emotions are governed by the water elements. I would also include fire to its expression, whereas the air and earth elements in terms of consciousness capacity are to do with reason and the rational capacities. And all are necessary in terms of the five elements. And whether you stand as the pentacle star or whether that star has been twisted and inverted, this is what we all have to work with here. And in terms of our existence in Midgard, all things came from water, including fire. Hence again, the great mystery of the fire water itself in context to planetary high magic. Realize this one factor, that emotion governs all of the elements and usually determines how people think. And how you feel tends to supersede thought. Again, in training yourself how to think things on purpose and how to feel into things on purpose with focused intention, the assignment of a lifetime. And this is why you need to entrain yourselves otherwise. It is your thoughts, which are the seeds to manifestation. And emotion is what waters those seeds to the roots of your templating. If you're not feeling good, a lot of people that can't control their emotions allow their mind to be conquered by emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. And you're going to want to learn on the level how to work with them instead of resisting them so they don't conquer your beingness. And if we are to move out and move forward in alignment, in order to be a good magician, you must know how to stir up and know how to master and use your emotional capacity the right way. And emotion in context to magic. You cannot be a good magician unless you know how to stir up the ethers. And the best magicians tend to be those who are ruled by water. Water being the crux, the keeper of mysteries when it comes to Scorpio. The foundation to that when it comes to actual initiation in context to Cancer, and the overseers when it comes to shamanism in terms of Pisces. It's drops of water within drops of water within drops of water within drops of water. It can be contained, but also penetrates even the hardest substance in the universe, because everything in the universe corresponds to the water element. And with this, we are able to stir up the ethers. And in context to fire, it is anger that is ruled by the fire element, while though being governed by water and should be in terms of emotional intelligence. This is all about getting things in motion, emotion, energy in motion, used to create your magic. But when you deny the heart from a place of core intelligence, you're going to fuck yourself up. And we must follow what the gates of true intelligence actually show us. Not your mind in terms of getting all up in your head about shit. And if you don't feel right in your situation, then you need to make moves in order to change it. Emotion is to move, and they are coming up to let you know when you need to be going to the next fucking level. The emotions are sensors. These are our indicators. And we need to work with our emotion in terms of ritual catharsis correctly. Realize that what you feel is what you will end up manifesting. And I've often said this. We must feel again into what we want to be experiencing so that its manifestation can meet us face to face. This can be a difficult process in light of a lot of other factors, but this is why we are also manipulated against. Our manifestation abilities have been getting fucked with, and confirmations to that by very prominent individuals that are also observing the manipulation factors in the reality field have confirmed this. And this is why we need to level it the fuck up in terms of our templating, in terms of our path work, in terms of what we know and what we are actually meant to be held accountable to. And many of the things we are faced with need to be taken as opportunities to entrain ourselves otherwise, knowing the difference. Because also, if something didn't belong to us in terms of our abilities, then it wouldn't be getting skewed these circumstances that we're up against. Realize why it's happening. It's not just happening for no reason. We need to focus and stay sharp no matter what the circumstances are. You need to act and feel like you already own what it is that you want to be experiencing, and make that your focus no matter what the circumstances are. Again, this is a lot easier said than done, but this is the fundamental principle to be applied in action in terms of manifestation to keep the waters flowing. You cannot let yourself be pulled into chaos no matter what is going on. I have always risen out of very extreme circumstances throughout my life as to why I am making this segment and why right now it is so pertinent, I think, for everyone out there in the world. These are trying times. These are confusing times. These are times of extreme contrast and temptation to fall out of alignment with truth itself and allow chaos to rule the hour. No, we are not going to allow chaos to rule. I have a birthright to life and legacy, and so does everyone else on the face of the entire fucking earth. This realm belongs to us, and we are here to make good not only for ourselves, but others as well. These psychopathic vampires will utterly fail in terms of what is coming. That is why you are feeling the pressure that you are, because you are transforming. You are changing. All of the indiscretions are rising to the surface to be dealt with, and you need to confront them head on with the magic of fire and with the magic of water. And in terms of catharsis, anger is meant to be a launching pad into full awareness and clarity, not to be manipulated in terms of emotional mind control, pulling you into the fucking abyss otherwise. The difference in terms of what we do when we go into ritual catharsis, you're stacking and burning all of this bullshit out of your templating, all of the things contrary to the alignment of your very soul and the alignment of who you truly are and your destiny to manifest and live a life that is good, that has meaning, that has purpose. And when that is threatened, whether it's real or imagined, you have to realize that shit is not coming from your soul. It's coming from the overlays and distortions and all the things that these lesser fucking entities and vampires fucking target. And to that, you cannot suppress the capacity and allow yourself the freedom, at the very least, to focus and feel again into what you want to have happen and what you actually want to be experiencing, not what you don't want to be happening. Energy goes where attention flows. Again, emotion, energy in motion. And that is why they want you distracted by all of this other bullshit, so that you unwitted manifest what these dark fucks dictate for your mind. It's not the state of your circumstances that dictate anything. You can change your circumstances as you progressively take action to fucking do something about them. But what the fuck is your actual state of mind in context to the actions that you are taking? That is what ultimately is going to determine the outcome of things. Even if things are good and your mind is all over the place otherwise, it wouldn't matter, because the state of your beingness is contrary. So it becomes difficult to actually enjoy the good things that have manifested in your life for fear of loss, fear of not surviving, fear of non-existence, all this fucking bullshit that plagues the emotional body in context to that core wound. We cannot give our focus and attention to the things that those who are trying to mind fuck the shit out of you, be aware of it, but do not obsess over these kinds of things. You have to know how reality actually works. And I'm telling you, we all have the ability to say, fuck you to these fuckers, and say it right now out loud with me. Fuck you, motherfuckers! Our minds and our beingness and our lives belong to us. We govern our existence. We decide from a place of core intelligence what we're going to be experiencing. And we ward and we bind and we banish everything contrary that is not in alignment to the birthright we are allotted in terms of incarnation. And when you say it, you need to say it with conviction coming from here. Again, the tongue is directly connected to the heart. It reveals the condition of your heart. And to get more focused than we ever have been before otherwise, and take the actions we need in order to make the strikes that are going to be unleashed, not only this year, but going into 2028. We are now in the year of the dragon, and the dragon's name is Katharsis. The dragon's name is Katharsis. And when the internal dragon awakens and arises out of the ashes of what was stacked and burned out of the templating, again, this is when the phoenix rises. And like I was saying, we are now officially crossing that threshold, now going into 2028 forward. Even as the collective has been going through a massive blackening phase, it is now going to start entering into a whitening phase, especially for those that have stood their ground. Do not let your emotion be manipulated by all of this fucking bullshit going on in the world. And it is to keep the energy moving instead of getting caught in loop cycles that, when left unchecked, are going to evaporate the waters within you. Understand what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying in terms of metaphysics. Again, how things actually work. The wellspring that is there within your core must ignite. And in context to catharsis, express from that wellspring the very soul itself. When anything is coming at you, It's just like some rabid dog that's barking in your face. Imagine this thing has fucking rabies, okay? If you don't stand your ground and stare right into the center of that fucking thing and remain solid in terms of your focus, the fear that you experience, always remember this anytime you're going through some shit, that the fear that you feel is nothing to do with emotion. It's what works to manipulate your emotional intelligence. Otherwise, you must take the reins of catharsis, and you must let the power of your emotion flow through you from that place of core intelligence. Get the fuck out of your skull brain and into the heart brain and pull up from the gut brain. It's fire up from the lower template and it's water down from the upper template, where both converge right at the center of your chest, where you're going to ground and clear and focus and express, especially in terms of declarations when it comes to ritual catharsis. It does not even need to be this elaborate thing. Just start doing it and making sure that you continue to keep doing it. This will also seal off any backdoor hook-ins when it comes to your templating. And never get scared when the metaphorical rabid dog that's parasitized is coming at you. And in context to this psychopathic god, the one that wants to rule over all, god means dog. In context, running full speed at you. If you stand your ground and look right in its eyes with no fear, you will stop that shit in its tracks. And it may continue to gnash its teeth and foam at you, but you stare right into the face of it. And I guarantee it won't do jack shit to you. Remember to be clear and unafraid walking this path. We must go fearless, and we must continue to rise up and move forward. I literally fucking mean this, you guys. It is that important for you to realize and catch and do and take action with. We need to catch it on even greater levels now, moving forward into 2024. This is the year of the dragon. Realize again that the name of the dragon is catharsis. Thoughts are not dominance over emotion. Both are connected and cannot be separated. You can work with your emotion to stir up the ethers and change the energies necessary to manifest otherwise. Again, if you are operating on an unconscious program in terms of fear when it comes to chaos, going into ritual catharsis is going to stack and burn that shit out of your templating. Channel the anger by working out and getting into your body and moving through these things to keep the energy moving. This is so important, you guys. And stay focused on your goals and objectives and keep being cathartic. This is what leads to authentic joy. This is what leads to happiness. This is what leads to a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. We are here to experience greatness in this realm. And though it comes with these challenges, at the end of the fucking day, at the end of your fucking life, whenever that may be, or in terms of may never fucking, let's imagine that for a second in context to how things actually work. What are you going to be able to say for yourself and your works in terms of this life? This is our lives, and our lives have fucking meaning. Our lives have meaning and purpose. And the fear of taking responsibility to it will only lead you down one path, and that is the path of fucking chaos. They want to turn you into a walking fucking corpse that cannot stir up the ethers. That is how a hollow fucking shell manifests of what could have been if you just made the fucking choice to pull the trigger and to go for it with no fear. And even if things don't manifest the way that you think they should, stay focused on the idea that they are no matter what, cultivating patience within yourself and your circumstances in the process. There is not a day that goes by that I do not feel what is going on with the world. I can see everything quite clear when it comes to primordial consciousness itself. I see past and I see through the smoke and whatever bullshit excuses anyone can make to allow chaos to take them. You need to get cathartic. Catharsis at this point is necessary for our kind. Realize also that emotion has a superhuman chemical that can be a cause point of potentially performing great feats. You may have heard it, like many have, but the story about a woman whose child was stuck under a car. She literally lifted the car off the ground in order to save her child. And this was a small woman that became clear in terms of her focus to make something happen. And it was the power of emotion in alignment to life and existence to meaning, which is where she got the magic to be able to do so. And is also where we get our magic in order to make things happen. The mind, again, itself is not enough. So imagine if you put that amount of effort into overcoming what it is that you've been conditioned to fear. The fear of death, the fear of loss, the fear of not surviving, the fear of fear itself, let alone what chaos produces. You cannot allow fear to rule you, but transmute and alchemize that fear into courage from the soul to overcome and override these obstacles with your emotion, to focus that energy and bring it into cathartic action. Otherwise, press past your limitations and press past these indiscretions. It's easy to go on and on about all the fucking things and roll out your fucking scroll of excuses that, again, you need to stack and burn down to white hot fucking ash to know what the solution actually is, which is to take courage no matter what. And in terms of catharsis, you must remain grounded and focused. Another term to this that I'm going to use is the Catharian. Through this, we take certain measures to cleanse and purge away any blood guilt that is there within the bones, that is there within the framework of who you are within your templating. The Catharian specifically is used to cleanse and purge the blood itself, of which two guilt and the shame that comes without confronting that are two of the aspects of chaos that must be overcome. And all of the lies that have been told about our race, let alone all races, and see the force for what it is that lays this upon our minds in terms of false education and indoctrination. Realize that catharsis is part of the soul's progressive ascent. It means to go beyond the senses and embrace the pure world of the intelligible, which leads to a clear distinction of actual fucking virtues. And in terms of cathartic virtue, they maintain all traces of the absolute good. They are a principle of order and organization and strength and beauty and grace, and ultimately lead an individual into the unification of the soul with the eternal spirit to blood code essence within our templating. We are healing the ancestors, all of us who are templated, and yes, all of those who are potentially becoming stewards in terms of the ancient future. And it's our cathartic virtues that give us the ability to integrate from that place of core intelligence. And if you try to separate the soul from the mind, let alone emotion or magic in context to thought, the gauge of your perception to process is the result of trauma otherwise. Catharsis is the correct response and not on a reaction to whatever the fuck it may be in terms of chaos. And yeah, we're going to flux. We're going to feel the scales tipping from time to time. Take it to Libra. Take it to wisdom. Take it to the relationship that you have with yourself. From that place of wisdom, you're going to deal with all of the potentials that will fly in your face otherwise when it comes to chaos. And warding against all of the chaos magic. It's subtle, but it's apathetic in terms of its manifestation and in terms of its expression, a very slow moving energy. You could take it to the delta and theta fucking brainwave. It's long like this. Whereas if you get up on alpha, beta, gamma, it starts going like this. So the gauge of your perception becomes sharper, it becomes quicker. You're able to cut through things and you're not being fucking dragged through the goddamn fucking shadowlands, motherfuckers. That's what happens when you're fucking hypnotized. And I am not an individual that is given to induction in context to hypnosis. I am very, very clear as far as the gauge of my perception is concerned. And to all the stagnant bogs that you are drowning in. Otherwise, if you don't snap the fuck out of it, emotional situations can elicit physiological, behavioral, cognitive, expressive, and subjective changes within the individual. And those who are affected by chaos need more than anything else the authentic release of these emotions. The patterns of social conditioning thwart this ability, and we must find the correct outlet for them. If you're going on and on in terms of expressing the issues and the problems and do not go into expressing what the fucking solutions are going to be, and you're not being cathartic, you are being pulled into the wheel of chaos. And the results we should be experiencing should indicate our response in total fucking irreversible and emotional and rational valiance. It is very intense, and it's supposed to be. And being passive aggressive is a cause point to chaos itself in denial. Remember what I just said. Being passive aggressive is a cause point to chaos itself in denial. You can gauge that all across the fucking board if you are actually discerned. And being direct and being real is best. That way, things do not get layered up. And directly after emotional effects take their course, while experiencing shared emotion, which we are doing all the time, through sharing and expressing, there should be a reciprocal stimulation of emotion and emotional communication. This leads to social effects like social integration and the strengthening of ideas. And it's the ideas that are in alignment we need to be strengthening. And when we do this, we experienced a renewed trust in life, strength and confidence, otherwise without which becoming your master. The question is this: who's the master? Who is the master of your existence? Really think about that. Who is the master? Is it not yourself, or are you still in the process of learning to know what it means to walk the path of self-mastery and taking every opportunity of every single day to continue to rise? Again, becoming cathartic and taking action instead of loathing the responsibility or convincing yourself that you were not capable for the sake of making excuses, which is where chaos starts to take the fuck over. It's pathetic, weak ass fucking bullshit, and our kind don't have time for it. It's what's killing you from the inside out on a fucking drip. Realize it. This is also what the Norns revealed to me, to utter forth and express and explain to how the spindle of the energy force is being manipulated against you. And to get control of that fucker again, you need to take initiation on the level. Again, it is very, very specific to all of us as individuals. It's not some general consensus, you guys. I need people to understand why I am like this, because of what is at stake otherwise. For the opportunity to really, and I mean really, take things to the next levels now in terms of this year, 2024. It is the year of the dragon, and again, the dragon's name is Katharsis, the Catharian. Are you going to continue to place center stage on the theater of the oppressed and allow the trickster to be the director of the act to actions as the strings of chaos are being pulled on all of the hook points within your fucking mind and templating? Or are you going to cut those fucking strings and become real? And I mean more real than you ever have up until these moments. That is an integration process. God damn it. Hear what I am saying. And if you have not taken initiation into the mystery school, now is the time to pull the trigger on it. You got to stir up the ethers, you guys. You got to stir this shit the fuck up. The great inspiration that has been given in order to share and offer is the stage we are setting to our own lives in alignment to actual purpose and destiny, and discovering that on levels that you're not going to get anywhere else. We are not meant to be spectators in life. We are meant to be players on the field in terms of reality, making that playing field the fuck even so that all of us can rise together in the face of that which mocks and spits on the very fabric of your existence. I won't fucking tolerate it. And I will not allow those, as long as it depends on me, to be taken by chaos and continue to prove that our kind are not to be trifled with. We came here to end the Great War of Aeons, not to perpetuate it for the fear of loss to a goddamn fucking thing. Realize that which is truly meant for you in alignment will have to manifest and meet you face to face. Again, this is where you go to stand your ground, but you must go toward it and you must get cathartic about shit when you feel yourself start to doubt anything in terms of its manifestation. Well, what if it doesn't last? What if this, or that? Shut the fuck up! Be silent! Trickster, may your tongue be sliced out of your mouth and cut away from your heart of chaos. We are not in correspondence. You shall have no quarry to my senses. You have none. You shall have no shelter within my temple. You are forever muzzled and made quiet. You shall speak no more. God damn it. Feel that shit, you guys. Feel into that with your emotion. Make that same declaration right now. Get cathartic. Get the fuck real with life and get real with yourself and your own in terms of the gauge of your perception to process, and do not allow chaos to override you. You have to let it go. You have to stand naked unto yourself, knowing that again, that you are here to live and that you are designed to overcome and create and quite literally be able to navigate through every challenge that sets itself before you in terms of the paradox of what we are all experiencing here on Earth. Leave no stone unturned, and do not let opportunities pass you by, and be in the process of also creating opportunities for yourself, especially here with the Mystery School. All of you go into the description below, click on the website at blackearthproductions with a Z.com. Take a walk through everything that is on there, click on the services page, scroll on down to level 1 apprentice, full rights, initiation. This is where I encourage everyone to start in terms of laying the proper foundation when it comes to initiation into the occult. I'll be working with you directly. All of this is one-on-one mentorship with me. This includes the 50% off discount in terms of credentials with the Mystery School, with the Nectar of Athanasia, and also full access to the Black Earth Library, which again is over 6 terabytes of occult reference material you're not going to find anywhere else on the face of the earth. As for everything else, level 2 adept, Ulfanar training, learning how to master the art and science of hyperdimensional warfare, and not just learning about what it means to come onto the front lines, but learning how to end the war of aeons, as mentioned. There are multiple readings available, including astropsychology, metaphysical rune reads, the Esoterra reading. We also have counsel sessions in terms of targeted individuals, and also things in terms of relationship and what it means to have the right relationship, especially if you're a template holder. And if you're going to become a steward in terms of the mysteries, then you must come to know how things actually work. That is the key to everything if you are going to experience success in all of the areas that the path to self-mastery will take you into. This is a point of accountability and also a point of structure to protocol that again becomes very specific to the individual. The banner of integrity we flag has meaning, and as to one of the greatest meanings, where you will truly discover what it means to come to know thyself, and from that point you will come to know the universe, the gods, and especially by establishing connection to core intelligence and the higher force of the Jedi itself. This mystery school is a legacy and also lineage to the ancient past, re-established in the earth as it was to the trajectory of the original timeline. If you have any questions about anything, and especially if you're ready to pull the trigger on this, then send me an email at blackearthproductions with an S at the end at hotmail.com. This is how to get a hold of me directly, and I will respond within reason to all those who inquire. And with that, to wrap things up, a cipher moves the water. Ongling, resting upon this hill, its ripples raise a mist and haze. As willows weep, the waves they seek. A south breeze mist the north winds bite. The black earth soil of a far river's might. Reminiscent of scars, the yonder years tempted me to ponder fears. I said no. Hear the raven's song, a restless aching, yearning for death's transformative partaking. You must rehearse wisdom's score of 4 battles the blood rage took and tore. It's through bitter things you may brim with doubt, the long burning questions aged aeons to count. In the language of coded silence it brought forth to speak, and bridged the void's pyre as it shrieks. Embraced and observing upon that hill a cathartic explosion within the fire water still, silken and blazing. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. Hails to you all. I look forward to speaking with more of you soon. Hails!
Настал тот час. Придет